Hello everyone, welcome to the Audit and Attestation class. In this class, we'll be understanding in detail about all the 6 principles of professional conduct and ethics. So these 6 principles include responsibility, public interest, integrity, objective and independence, due care, and scope and nature of work. So these are the 6 principles we'll be studying in this section. Let's dive into it.
Let's come back to theory. Ready to be back in AICPA Professional Code of Conduct? Yes, sir. Okay, so 6 principle, 9 rules, 13 interpretation and guidance, right? Let's jump into the 6 principle. First one is responsibility. What is the responsibility on CPA? Professional and moral. Professional and moral responsibility. So we have extensive, we should exercise a sensitive professional and moral judgment in all the activities what we do. Now CPA has essential role in the society and they are required to maintain public confidence because AICPA has earned over the so many years that public confidence. They will not allow you to lose the confidence of the public which they have earned over the period of like so many decades, right? So CPA also have a special responsibility of the self-governance. So here the 3 key points which you need to remember. One is professional responsibility, second is moral responsibility, third is maintaining public confidence and the self-governance, right? So these are certain responsibility on each one of us, right? We need to adhere to these responsibility throughout our life once we become a CPA, right? Second is public interest. Members should accept the obligation to act in a way that serve in the public interest. So that means once we are a CPA, we have the hat on our head to always be honored for the public trust because public do trust on CPA and we cannot break their trust, right? Being a CPA, we need to adhere and honor to the public trust and we need to demonstrate a commitment to the professionalism so that public trust on CPA should maintain, right? If you violate anything which will be damaging on the public trust, it would be a huge penalty on each one of you, right? So just keep in mind these principles, rules and interpretation which we'll be discussing in this today's class are very much important, and violation of any such rule, regulation, interpretation or principle may result into extremely high punishment both in terms of finance as well as imprisonment to each one of us, right? So I need to adhere to all these rules and regulations thoroughly, right? In public interest, you need to accept the responsibility to good public. You need to act with the integrity and commit and honor to the public interest. So that's the prime responsibility each one of us need to carry. Next one is act with integrity. So being a CPA, it's been our prime responsibility to act with integrity because like public interest is being involved because you are signing up the balance sheet, you are signing up the financial statement, you are signing up the financial information on which public is relying, right? As the public is relying, it's been your responsibility to act with honesty, say what is right, say what is wrong, and refer the principle of objectivity, independence rules, and due care, which we'll be discussing in detail, right? So here, for each one of us, it's being very much important to act with the integrity. Next is objectivity and independence. Objectivity and independence are in principle, and it is also in the rules for more detail, right? So like we were discussing earlier, objectivity is the actual facts, presentation, numbers, records, reports, agreements, which comes in attention of the CPA. Well, independence is no conflict of interest. We should not have any conflict of interest. That means you are not having shareholding in the company. Any of your close relatives should not be having the shareholding in the company, or there are certain independent schools which we will be discussing in detail, like employment requirement. Like that means like you should not be working with the client a year ago, or maybe your spouse should not be working with the client, or your family member or relative should not be at any key position or influential position in the client. So all those things you need to keep in mind, and all those things you need to adhere to when you are doing any audit engagement. So independence should be in fact as well as in appearance both, like we were discussing earlier. Independence, in fact, it has been clearly laid down in the agreement, right, which is your engagement letter, that you are independent to the client. And independence in appearance, like we were discussing earlier, as an example of Sandeep and Mine Company, right? So in fact, you should be independent, and in appearance also, it should not look like the CPA and the audit clients are close relative firms or have any conflict of interest in front of public at large, right? Next one is due care. This is also we discuss in detail, like discharge of professional responsibility with the competency and diligence. Competency means like you should have appropriate number of qualified CPAs, and if you are involving, if you are taking care of any tax matter, you should have appropriate tax qualified people, or the people who have relevant experience in dealing with those tax and regulation matters, right? And for example, if it is a litigation matter, litigation related to employee, related to customer, related to vendor, related to warranties, right? So you'll be involving appropriate lawyer who will be having a competency to deal with that respective matter, right? Same way, for example, if there is any valuation requirement and you are required, the valuation can be done only by the certified engineer. Then in our audit team, you should have a certified engineer involved to validate those valuation, right? And there are certain like provision which we were discussing on, like long-term employment benefit, warranty provision, sales incentive provision, in which in some big company require actuarial involvement, right? So as a CPA, you should also be testing those assumptions, and you should be involving the actuarial as well to verify the calculation and to verify the overall provisions which the management has taken, right? So here due care means you will be involving competent people in the team, and you should be ensuring the due diligence, or you can say diligently providing the work, or diligently respective team member would be working with diligence on their respective work, right? That comes under the due care. Next one is scope and nature of work. So like we were discussing earlier, so we should not be accepting any work which is in non-compliance with AICPA Code of Professional. So you should be working only on those engagements which is in line with the professional code of conduct, or which is adhere to the professional code of conduct. You should not be working on any engagement which is violating any rules, regulation, principles, or interpretation of the AICPA Code of Professional. Member should ensure the scope and nature of the work to be compliant with the Code of Professional Conduct before accepting any engagement, right? Public trust should not be subordinated to the personal gain. Here you need to keep in mind, so you have certain responsibility toward the public, and public are trusting on you, and you should not subordinate the public trust for your personal gain, right? This is the prime responsibility for each one of us would be having. While determining the scope and nature of the work, members should ensure act with integrity, maintaining the objectivity and independence. That means there is no conflict of interest. Act with due care of competency and diligence, and follow the internal quality control standard, quality control procedure of the CPA firm, and apply the professional judgment. If there is change in scope without legitimate reason, for example, if client is asking you to change the scope and he or she is not giving you a legitimate reason or justification, then as an auditor, we should provide the reference of scope limitation in our report. And if you are not comfortable, it's good to withdraw from the engagement. If management does not agree, or if you are not comfortable, then it's better to withdraw from the engagement, right? So these are the 6 principles, very much similar and common in the general layman language, or I'm sure in any ethics class or independence class, you might have studied all these rules or principles, right? Any doubt here before we jump into the 9 rules? Yes, no? Just to know. So far, so good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, let's do some practice then. Okay, let's do some practice. Which of the following situation would not impair objectivity, integrity, and independence with respect to audit client? So, straightforward question. An auditor provide client management with box Saint for a season of Major League of Baseball franchisee. So that means you are in a USA and your client is giving you ticket to go and watch the baseball match, right? Would that impair your objectivity, independence, or integrity or not, right? Second is an out-of-town client. So that means your out-of-station audit engagement. And audit engagement, the client takes you out for a dinner to a renowned local restaurant. Would that impair your independence, integrity, or objectivity? Third is a client take the audit engagement team on a 2-day sky trip after the audit team worked for 2 consecutive weekends. So that means they are giving you 2 days of site and doing scanning in the eyes, right? Fourth one is an auditor take the client audit committee to Las Vegas for the weekend. So which one will not impair the objectivity, integrity, and independence out of this? These are like practical situations. When you go to US, you will see all these things are happening. How to save yourself to be an independent. Like your client will ask you, let's go to the Vegas, do some casino together. Let's go for a skiing.
But that's what say you know.
But you are bound by the independence rule. What do you think?
ऑप्शंस में आई हैव अ डाउट लाइक इसमें ऑडिटर लेके जा रहा है या क्लाइंट, क्योंकि लास्ट ऑप्शन फर्स्ट ऑप्शन में एन ऑडिटर प्रोवाइड्स, फर्स्ट लास्ट ऑप्शन में ऑडिटर टेक्स.
Can an auditor take?
ओह अच्छा.
It can be either way. It can be confusing. Eh?
The second one.
Second one, why?
So because I've been to a team planning event, I mean, wherein we went out for a lunch. I mean, we had the client and we as an EY team, we all went on the lunch together. But yes, apart from that, the other options are something which is whenever we fill our independence, we sign off our independence. That's the question we get, and we mention they do not comply. So that's wherein I can relate with it.
Okay.
Also, sir, the other 3 options involved high cost, and there is certain limit on which we can accept from the client. So, from that perspective, minimum cost is in the one dinner, local dinner.
Yeah, I was thinking the same logic.
Yeah, that's
So the
right.
3 options are cost.
लेकिन डिनर की कॉस्ट भी ज़्यादा हो सकती है if we are going on.
But that is legitimate. That means, for example, you are in Delhi. Let's say you went to Parwan, like in Himachal Pradesh, and you are doing audit of, let's say, GlaxoSmithKline client over there, right? And you are doing outstation audit, and the client has taken you out for a dinner. So that's a legitimate thing because you are working outstation as a courtesy. Like client has taken you out for a dinner.
Okay.
Right? If the audit is in Delhi, then the situation would be different. But here it is clearly mentioned it is out of station audit.
Okay. But
Cool. That's right. Answer 2 is right.
In case if they offer you some souvenirs, like I went to ITL, वहाँ पे they were offering liquor. So though I don't drink, so मैंने मना कर दिया upfront. We had lunch in the afternoon and it was very बहुत अच्छी जगह पे था. But if they are offering some souvenirs, so are we supposed to accept those?
No, there are certain limits to what extent you can accept. So we'll be discussing in the independence rules.
Sir, I am a little confused on this question. I did not get like why is it the second option? And out of town client, what it actually means? Like out of town, basically ये हो गया ना कि दूसरी स्टेट में audit हो रहा है मतलब out of.
Yeah, that's what I said. Let's say let's say you are working with any CPA firm here in Delhi, and you have a client, let's say in Parwanubati, which is in Himachal Pradesh, and you went to audit that client in Parwanubati. And there, the client accountant or maybe finance controller has taken you out for a dinner. Because you are doing outstation audit, any which ways dinner is allowed to you, and dinner is paid by the client.
But यहाँ पे locally, whenever we went to an audit place, they generally offer lunch or dinner.
Yeah, when you are working late.
Yes, whenever.
When you are working late.
Otherwise, they also offer lunch and all.
Yeah, they offer it, but ideally, lunch are part of your like normal meals. You should not. Cool. Next question. These all are like, practically you will be seeing when you are start practicing as a CPA or start working with CPA firm. Okay. According to the standard of profession, which of the following activity may be required in exercise due care? Consulting with expert, obtaining specialty accreditation, both consulting with expert and obtaining specialty accreditation, neither consulting nor accreditation. Simple, straightforward answer. Which of the following required due care?
Yes. What does obtaining special accreditation actually mean?
Like special accreditation means like you are doing any study and you are taking certification. Like you are a CPA, now you want to take CISA certification.
Or CISA, like in India, it's CISA and all that.
So for that, there is no like exercise of due care required. Only for the consulting service you required due care when you are delivering to the client. Right? Make sense?
Right.
Okay, last question. An accountant who had begun an audit of financial statement of non-issuer was asked to change the engagement to review because of the restriction on the scope of audit. If there is a reasonable justification for the change, the accountant review report should include reference of scope limitation that is caused by change in engagement or original engagement that was agreed to. Have you understood the question?
Answer is C. Correct. If there is a reasonable justification in each
As a non-issuer.
Yeah, one by one.
case, there is a reasonable justification. I need not mention in anything about it in the report.
Okay. How about others? Them?
Same with me. Option third is right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's a reasonable, so I don't think that we have to mention anything in specific.
Got it. Absolutely right. If yes, question.
सर ओरिजिनल एंगेजमेंट में तो हम एग्री करेंगे क्योंकि केस तो ऑलरेडी हो चुका है और रही बात स्कोप लिमिटेशन की दैट वाज कॉस्ट तो दैट चेंज होने की हम मेंशन करेंगे नहीं क्योंकि ऑलरेडी है तो दोनों में से कोई भी
reason. Yeah, absolutely. So neither one nor two.